Welcome to episode 5 of Lachie Does Footy. We'll be reviewing the Gabba round and we'll be predicting round 5 and also we'll be doing the ladder. Sadly, the Footy Festival in South Australia has come to an end. It's back to Melbourne for Footy Festival every week. Adelaide versus Melbourne at Adelaide Oval. I tipped the Crows by a point. Ended up being Melbourne by 15 points. Both the Crows forwards and the Melbourne forwards kicked themselves out of the game. The reason for Melbourne's win is because they got 2 more goals on the boards compared to what the Crows did. They had 28 scoring shots to the Crows 23. If the Crows had kicked straight, they would have won that match. And how good was Stephen May, even with a rib injury? He can still play very good footy. Brisbane versus North Melbourne at Night Oval. I had Brisbane by 40 points, but it was Brisbane by 70 points. North Melbourne were just outclassed. The Brisbane forwards looked lethal out there. Joe Danaher kicked 5, but he could have kicked 8. Hugh McCluggage played his best game as a line, 36 touches. He could get the free votes. As for North Melbourne, well, they need to get an easier opponent on Gabba and someone like the West Coast Eagles. Port Adelaide versus Essendon at Adelaide Oval. I tipped Essendon by a point, but it was Port by 69 points. Best players for Port Adelaide, Connor Rosie, 36 touches and 3 goals. Jason Orfras's first 30-touch game. And as for Essendon, the only good player they got was Zach Merritt and also Nick Martin. As for Jeremy Finlayson, he's been suspended for 3 games. Let's see how Port will operate without him. West Coast versus Sydney at the Adelaide Hills. I had the Swans by 80 points, but they won by 26 points. Harley Reid played well at West Coast, and his goal celebration showed that I was wrong, he wants to stay. Elliot Yeo played well for West Coast. As for Sydney, their best players are Isaac Heaney and Errol Gordon. Freo versus Carlton at Adelaide Oval. I had Freo by a point, but Carlton won by 10 points. Looked like Freo were going to win that game until Matty Cottrell kicked the goal and the umpire ended up giving Matt Kennedy a goal for 30 seconds later. Played well for Freo was Andrew Brayshaw. For Carlton, it was Jacob Wienering. Bulldogs versus Geelong at Adelaide Oval in the second game of the doubleheader. I had Geelong by 10 points, but Geelong won by 4 points. Best players for Geelong were Jeremy Cameron and Jack Bowles. Bulldogs, the midfield trio of Marcus Bontempelli, Tom Liberatore and Adam Treloar. It was a very good game of footy. Gold Coast versus GWS at the Adelaide Hills. Gold Coast were in the game for most of the game and then GWS ran away with the last quarter to win by 28 points. I tipped them by 2 points back last week. Best players for GWS are Stephen Canario, Lachie Whitfield and Toby Green's 5 goals. Best players for Gold Coast are Noah Anderson and how about a debut from Sam Clahesy? He should have been picked in 2020! Richmond versus St Kilda at Norwood Oval. Saints didn't even kick a goal in the first quarter but still went ahead and win by 7 points. Best players for the Saints have got Ryan Marshall and Jack Steele. Richmond's best players are Shea Bolton with 4 goals and Dustin Marshall looked good on his return from injury. And I tipped Noah Bolton for best player, but he was injured that week. Last game of the round, Collingwood Hawthorn at Adelaide Oval. I had Collingwood by 30 points, but they won by 5 points. They were up by 37 at one stage in the second half, but Hawthorn brought it back and nearly won it. Best players for Collingwood were Jordan De Goey and Josh Dacos. Hawthorn's best players were Blake Hardwick with 4 goals and Jack Jennison nearly won the game for the Hawks against his old side. We have done a review for round 4. I got 6 out of 9. That brings my total score to 23 out of 38 and now we'll do the ladder. First on the ladder we got GWS. They won the first 4 games. They're looking good to win the premiership this year. Second, it's Melbourne. Oh boy. At the start of the year I thought Melbourne were going to be the Milli Vanilli of the AFL. But they've won the first 4 games in a row, including 2 in Adelaide. Third, we got the Sydney Swans. They're 3-1. If it wasn't for that loss to Richmond, they'd be still undefeated. Heading into the Battle of the Bridge in round 8. Fourth on the ladder, we got Carlton. They're 4-0. If it wasn't for Matthew Kennedy goal for the umpiring decision, they would be likely 3-1. Fifth on the ladder, we got Geelong. They're currently 4-0. And I tipped them to finish 16th at the start of the season. 6 have got Port Adelaide, 3 wins and 1 loss. They're starting to look like the Brisbane Lions of 2001 to 2003, the way they're going. 7th is Fremantle, same reason with Port Adelaide. 8th, Western Bulldogs. They're just in the finals, only by percentage. Ninth, we got St Kilda. I reckon they'll stay around that mark towards the second half of the season. 10th, we got the Gold Coast Suns. They need a few more easier opponents if they want to be up there in the 8, but I reckon they'll stay in that area. 11th, we got Collingwood. They'll climb up the ladder. 12th, we got Essendon. Well, this would be a time they start dropping down the ladder. 13th, we got the Brisbane Lions. They've currently got their first win on Gather Round. If they could beat Melbourne, they can get back up the ladder. 14th, we got Richmond. They're 1-4, but they're starting to show their potential, but come after their bye round, they could start looking good. 15th, we got the Adelaide Crows. They need to do something. They need a proper leadership camp, not like the Gold Coast one at the end of 2017. 16th, we got Hawthorn. They don't look like a 16th place side. 17th, we got North Melbourne. They show some good potential in the early rounds, but they need some more luck on their side. 18th, we got West Coast. They showed a little bit of potential, but they need more time. Melbourne versus Brisbane at the MCG got Melbourne by 18 points. There has been some changes this week. Melbourne, Cozzy Pickett's out suspended. Carlton Fostrip in for his debut. Brisbane have not made any changes, although Lachie Neale got subbed off last week against North Melbourne. Melbourne versus Brisbane has been a very good fixture in the recent years, including the 2022 semi-final, which Melbourne lost. Best players for Melbourne, I'm going with Christian Petrarca and a breakout game for Blake Howes. Brisbane, I'm going with Hugh McCluggage. Bulldogs versus Essendon at Marvel Stadium, Friday night footy. Western Bulldogs by 54 points. Western Bulldogs looked great last week against Geelong. Essendon were woeful last week against Port Adelaide. Best players for Essendon, I've got Nick Martin. From the Western Bulldogs, I've got Marcus Bontempelli and Bailey Dale. GWS versus St Kilda at Manuka Oval in Canberra. Home at the Parliament House. Got GWS by 30 points. I reckon their best player will be Stephen Cornelio and Tom Green. St Kilda's best player I'm going with is Jack Steele, playing against his old team. GWS have not won at home against the Saints since round 7 2019, also in Canberra. This is why they're playing in Canberra this week. Carlton versus Adelaide at Marvel Stadium. The two played a great game last year on Gather Round. I got the Blues by 2 points. Best players I'm going with Paddy Cripson and his return from injury, Sam Walsh. For the Crows, I got Jordan Dawson. The Crows need to fix their act, otherwise they're going to lose by 80 points or more against the Blues. Gold Coast versus Hawthorn at People First Stadium. I got the Gold Coast Suns by 28 points. Best players for Suns, I got Noah Anderson, Matt Rowell and Sam Claheisi on game number 2. Hawthorn, I'm going with Manuel Chol. He's got a point to prove against his old employers. Gold Coast have not lost to Hawthorn at the ground since 2014. When Hawthorn won that game by 99 points, that was when Coach Sam Mitchell was still playing. Port Adelaide versus Fremantle at Adelaide Oval. I got Fremantle by 8 points. Fremantle have not beaten Port Adelaide in Adelaide since 2012, which was the same year Reece Maston was still on the charts. Port Adelaide, best players, I got Connor Rosie and Jason Horne-Francis. Freo, I got Andrew Brayshaw. I reckon it'll be a good game. Geelong versus North Melbourne at GMHBA Stadium. I've got the Cats by 130 points. North Melbourne have not won at that ground in 9 years. Best players for Geelong. Well, as we can say, for the first time in Lachlan does football history, the best players for Geelong, I'm going with the entire 23. I reckon Cats will keep their undefeated run going. West Coast versus Richmond at Optus Stadium. I reckon it'll be a competitive game for West Coast, but I got Richmond by 30 points. And that's the first time I picked Richmond on this series. And best players for Richmond, I got Toby Nankervis and Shea Bolton. West Coast, for the first time in Lachlan does football history, I'm picking one of their players. I'm going Harley Reid and Elliot Yeo. That is it for this episode of Lachlan Does Footy. Let me know in the comment section below and see which things we need to do to decorate the room to make it a bit more appealing for future Lachlan Does Football episodes, and we'll see you in round 6. We have done a review for round 4. I got 6 out of 9. That brings my total score to 23 out of 38, and now we'll do the ladder.